stop, and you don't stop, and you won't. I was a terror since the public school era. Bathroom passes, cutting classes, squeezing asses. Smoking blunts was a daily routine since 13. A chubby nigga on the scene. I used to have the tray deuce and the deuce in my bubble goose. Now I got the Mac in my knapsack, lounging black, smoking sacks up in accent sidekicks with my sidekicks, rocking fly kicks. Honeys wanna chat, but all we wanna know is where the party at. And can I bring my gat? If not, I hope I don't get shot. Better throw my vest on my chest, cause niggas is a mess. It don't take nothing but front for me to start something. Bugging and bucking at niggas like I was duck hunting. Dumbing out just me and my crew, cause all we wanna do is party and bullshit and party and bullshit and party and bullshit and party and bullshit and party. 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 Hugs from the honeys, pounds from the roughnecks. See my man say that I knew from the projects. Said he had beef, asked me if I had my piece. Short 222s in my shoes. Holla if you need me, love, I'm in the house. Roman strong, see what the honeys is about. Moet poppin', hope poppin', ain't no stoppin'. Big Papa, I'm a bad boy. Niggas wanna front, who got your back? Niggas wanna flex, who got the gap? It ain't hard to tell I'm the East Coast overdoser. Nigga, you scared, get the poster. Nigga, I toast you. Put fear in your heart. Fuck up the party before it even starts. Is he drunk? Over Henny and skunk? On some brand Nubian shit, beating down pump. Bitches in the back looking righteous. In the tight dress, I think I might just hit her with a little Biggie 101. How to hold a gun and have fun with Jamaican rum conversation. Once in rotation, my man Big Jock got the Glock in his waist and was smoking, drinking, got the hooker thinking. If money smell bad, then this nigga biggin', thinking. Is it my charm? I got the hookers eating out my palm. She grabbed my arm and said, let's leave calm. I'm hitting skins again. Rolled up another blunt, bought a Heineken. Niggas start to low down like kids out, choked out, blows were stoned, and a fucking fight broke out. Can't we just all get along so I can put stickies on her chest like little Sean? Get a pissy drunk off a Dom Perignon, and it's on, and I'm gone. That's that.
Ooh, god damn, I love that song. I love that song. I will play that song until I fucking die. What is going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I was going to be doing a long-form video about this, about Trump appointing Dr. Oz, as you could tell from the title of this stream, which will also be a video as soon as this is done. However, I have such a huge project on my plate. I've got lots of projects on my plate. Got to continue doing Vaxxed. I have this crazy video about ritualistic abuse by some crazy parents that I have to do. But this Larry Cook thing that I detailed out in my last video has blown up so huge. My email has just been filled with people just giving me all their fucking crazy stories about interactions with Larry Cook and his page. So because of that, I feel like we can actually have a quick little fun stream about Trump appointing Dr. Oz. So I think that's what I'd really rather do today. Get a little bit more comfortable here. I decided I'd come out in my doctor uniform, Doc Holiday. But yeah, so we'll take a look at this, and we're gonna examine what the big problem is with Trump deciding to hire Dr. Oz. Now, before we do, I want to make it very clear. I try and avoid politics on this channel lately, and I'm going to continue to do that. I will outright say I believe that this is a huge fucking mistake on the part of the president. But so far as any other criticisms of Trump, I have plenty of criticisms of him, but they are not going to be necessarily included in this stream. I'd rather stay focused on what the issue is. So, because of that, I chose an article that we're going to be looking at for a frame of reference by Gizmodo, and it is not objective reporting. It is very biased, and I don't care. I really honestly don't care, because I am not unbiased in this situation. I hate Dr. Oz. I absolutely despise Dr. Oz. The title of this is called "Trump Picks TV Snake Oil Salesman Dr. Oz of all people to serve on Health Council." Now, lo and behold, President Donald Trump has appointed none other than widely ridiculed quack Dr. Mehmet Oz, yes, the Dr. Oz, so infamous for his dubious TV health advice that the British Medical Journal published a thorough trashing of him, to serve as a health advisor. Now, that's kind of accurate, and it's a little too reductive. There's a council on sports, fitness, and nutrition, and Trump is appointing him to that council. That isn't to say that necessarily he is a health advisor. He's part of a council that, according to the website, engages, educates, and empowers all Americans to adopt a healthy lifestyle that includes regular physical activity and good nutrition. Well, there's really no difference between that and somebody taking it upon themselves to make a website, to promote what they believe is good advice. I will say, also, he appointed Bill Belichick to this. It's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Appointing the most notorious cheater in pro football to a council on sports is kind of fucked up, too. But let's stay focused. I don't want to rant about the Patriots. Actually, I really do. But I'm not going to. Anyway. The appointment of Dr. Oz is notable because he's long used the Dr. Oz show as a platform to market alternative medicine, i.e. mostly fake or overhyped products and recommendations. In one case, a company producing a supposed miracle weight loss drug that he endorsed was fined millions by the FTC, and Dr. Oz was separately summoned before a congressional hearing to testify as to why he kept why can't I talk today? Why he kept promoting products with no legitimate science behind them. Studies have repeatedly shown that Dr. Oz does not seem to use actual evidence when making health recommendations on this show. Now, we're going to get into the Senate hearing thing because I think this is probably the most important part of this story. However, it's important that we understand what Dr. Oz does. You know, he does a daytime television show where he basically, it's an hour every single day, if I'm not mistaken. It's an hour every day on weekdays for 1 hour where he talks about health. And Dr. Oz is actually a real doctor. He is an accomplished cardiothoracic surgeon, I think, is the actual proper terminology for it. But he's a doctor. He's a smart guy. He went to medical school. He did his dues. He has been fully educated. He knows the scientific method. He's supposed to be under the Hippocratic Oath. This is a real doctor. This is not like some, chiropractor trying to give people bad advice. This is a legit fucking doctor. So, the guy is not someone you might want serving on a presidential council, so why was he picked by the White House? Here's where it gets extremely predictable. It might have to do with that time Trump appeared on Dr. Oz's show, and the doctor said he agreed with that bizarre letter allegedly written by Trump's personal doctor, Windows XP aficionado Harold Bornstein, proclaiming that he would be the healthiest individual ever elected to the presidency. It later turned out Trump dictated the letter to Bornstein, but the appearance on the Dr. Oz show helped the president launder his self-written health review with the aid of an additional medical professional. Now, again, this is another thing that is dastardly. That's a fucking hell of a word. A dastardly thing about Dr. Oz is his platform is a propaganda machine. It is a propaganda machine. What he wields is a massive amount of socio-political power, and especially when it comes to the public, people want to trust those things which give them comfort. Especially if you're just some bored Midwest housewife and you got nothing else really going on. and you have this comforting face, and he's got the credentials, and he tells you these things that could possibly help you or cure these things that are giving you like struggle and causing you to feel ill or sick, or maybe a loved one feels ill or sick, and you have this very nice, pleasant face trying to tell you what is going to be the next miracle drug or cure or treatment. It is, I would say it's predatory, but what's so weird about Dr. Oz is he himself doesn't actually sell any of these fucking supplements. In fact, I'm sure some people are very well aware, I'm not a big fan of John Oliver. Haven't been since he left The Daily Show. I liked him when he was an infrequent contributor to the show. And last week tonight, I have had some severe criticisms over. But he summed it up really interestingly, which was basically Dr. Oz has to fill up space. He has to fill up time to make sure that his hour-long broadcast is worth watching. He has to pander to the audience, and a lot of that is by promoting these miracle cures, and that is quite a problem. You don't want exposition and flowery dog shit when you're talking about medical issues. You want to know what the fuck is wrong and what you can do about it. Nobody goes to the doctor recreationally, and if you do, you should probably be going to a psychiatrist instead. Just fucking saying. Anyway. So to detail out all of the problems with Dr. Oz would take a billion fucking years. We'd have to go through every time he claimed something was a miracle cure or whatever. In fact, here, I have it in an article here. No, we weren't going to read that one. Here we go. This is from when he recommended Garcinia Cambogia as a weight loss miracle. His selling of the supplement was described thusly. As people were getting ready for the holiday season and its accompanying waist expansion late last year, Dr. Mehmet Oz let viewers of his TV show in on a timely little secret. Everybody wants to know what's the newest, fastest fat buster, said the board-certified cardiothoracic surgeon and one of People magazine's sexiest men alive. How can I burn fat without spending every waking moment exercising and dieting? He then told his audience about a breakthrough, magic, holy grail, even revolutionary new fat buster. I want you to write it down, America's doctor urged his audience with a serious and trustworthy stare. After carefully wrapping his lips around the exotic words, Garcinia Cambogia, he added sternly, it may be the simple solution you've been looking for to bust your body fat for good. Let's unpack this. Let's unpack this real fast. He uses really flowery words like breakthrough, magic, holy grail, revolutionary. Now, out of all four of those, three of those are something a doctor should never be fucking saying when he's talking about your health. Breakthrough, magic, holy grail. Bullshit. Bullshit fucking words. If a doctor is saying these things to you and it's not being used derisively to explain something that is dog shit, he's a bad fucking doctor. Stop going to him. Last but not least is revolutionary. If there is something that is revolutionary, it's not going to be said by a doctor unless he is a medical researcher and they found something really awesome that is going to really help. Shannon Gibbs, what's going on, Shannon Gibbs? Shannon Gibbs, great YouTuber. Formerly Liberal Lunacy, if I'm not mistaken. She says Garcinia Cambogia was what almost fucked my liver. Oof. I'm gonna have to get that story from you at some point. Then also, he has really, his marketing is brilliant too. I want you to write it down. This immediately draws the viewer's attention. It encourages almost a participation sort of thing. It's a really effective way to try and get somebody to remember something that you're selling, because not only are they hearing it, they're not only being cock-teased by how fancy and awesome this thing is going to be, it's encouraging you to do something that not only draws your attention to it in hearing it, but also seeing it, and the physical remembering, the sensation, the tactile sensation of committing this word to paper. Whether you do it or not, just that explanation of it is sometimes enough to get people to really remember. So it's great marketing. But then it may be the simple solution you've been looking for to bust your body fat for good. Well, that's a bullshit statement. Nothing is going to bust your body fat for good except death. That will bust your body fat for good. That's the only thing. We accrue body fat. That's a natural process of being a living, breathing human being. but it may be the simple solution. Everybody wants a simple solution. They don't want things that are complicated. They don't want to be counting calories. They don't want to be having to go and do strenuous exercise and learning to do it the proper way. They want simple, but it may be is a very quick and easy way to say, it's not my fault if it doesn't. This marketing machine is incredible. I would not be surprised if the foundation principles of the Dr. Oz show included the hiring of many marketing experts and psychologists, knowing exactly how to get people sucked into this kind of shit, man. Like, I would not be surprised at all. Anyway, with that being said, what I feel is going to illustrate this really well for us is... Could you actually read that? Oh man, I just realized that kind of cut off a little bit. My bad. I'm sorry, guys. I am such a noob streamer. Look at this. Terrible. Just terrible. Amateur. Anyway, it's because I spent all those years in medical school and not in audio video engineering or something. That's right. Okay. But what I think is really going to help illustrate the problem with this is back in 2014, he was summoned to the United States Senate. And Senator McCaskill, whatever you think of Claire McCaskill, she did take him to task, which was pretty interesting. So we're going to take a look at it a little bit, and we're going to analyze it a little bit and see what the real problem with Dr. Oz is. And then I'll get to my main thesis of this shit. All right, so this is the Senate hearing, and he got dragged down and had to sit in front of these senators.
I can't figure this out, Dr. Oz. I get that you do a lot of good on your show. I understand that you give a lot of information that's great information about health, and you do it in a way that's easily understandable.
I'll agree with her. Like, when he does talk about legit medicine, legit biomedical science and whatnot, yeah, he can give some pretty good advice.
You're very talented. You're obviously very bright. You've been trained in science-based medicine. Now, here's 3 statements you made on your show. You may think magic is make-believe, but this little bean has scientists saying they found the magic weight loss cure for every body type. It's green coffee extract. Quote,
hang on, I want to hear that description one more time. One more time.
You may think magic is make-believe, but this little bean has scientists saying they found the magic weight loss cure for every body type. It's
oh my god, it's like BuzzFeed trying to write about medicine.
Green coffee extract.
Although they do that too sometimes.
Quote, I've got the #1 miracle in a bottle to burn your fat. It's raspberry ketone. Quote, Garcinia cambogia, it may be the simple solution you've been looking for to bust your body fat for good. I don't get why you need to say this stuff, because you know it's not true. So why?
You can see he's already getting a little heated under the collar with this too. Like, he's going to have to directly lie or dodge the fact that he does know that these things are not true. Now, this is great. Watch how this whole thing unravels. This is amazing.
Why, when you have this amazing megaphone and this amazing ability to communicate, why would you cheapen your show by saying things like that?
Well, if I could disagree about whether they work or not, and I'll move on to the issue of the words that I used. And just with regard to whether they work or not, take green coffee bean extract as an example.
Green coffee bean extract. He got quite a bunch of shit for this.
I'm not going to argue that it would pass FDA muster if it was a pharmaceutical drug seeking approval, but among the natural products...
If it had to actually pass a regulatory committee, I'm not going to say it could pass, which means it probably wouldn't.
Products that are out there, this is a product that has several clinical trials. There was one large one, a very good quality one, that was done the year that we talked about this in 2012. Listen, I
No,
give...
I want to know about that clinical trial, because the only one I know was 16 people in India that was paid for by the company that was in fact, at the point in time you initially talked about this being a miracle, the only study that was out there was the one with 16 people in India that was written up by somebody who was being paid by the company that was producing it.
Uh-oh. You have to wonder at this point in time, which this is pretty legit. You have to wonder at this point in time, did Dr. Oz legitimately believe that if he was going to be summoned to the government and they were going to ask him about these things and they bring up green coffee extract, did he legitimately believe that they weren't going to look into the studies that were supposed to be the things that he was touting as supporting these fucking claims? Was he so fucking arrogant to think that he was just going to sneak that one past? Let's just trust the government to be lazy, which, don't get me wrong, government can be pretty goddamn lazy at times, but if you've got the hawkish Claire McCaskill on your ass, you probably should be a little bit better prepared and not try and say things like, well, it was a very good study with 16 people in a third world country, and the results were written by somebody involved in it.
Well, this paper argued that there was no one paying for it, but I have the 5 papers actually, plus a series of basic science papers on it as well.
Oh.
But Senator McCaskill, we can spend a lot of time arguing the merits of whether green coffee and extract is worth trying or not worth trying. Many of the things that we argue that you do with regard to your diet are likewise criticizable. I mean, should you be on a low-fat diet, a low-carb diet? I've spent a good part of my career recommending that folks have a low-fat diet.
And deflection? Whoo! Don't pay any attention to the crazy, probably fraudulent study done in a third world country. Let's not actually pay any attention or spend any time on this. Let's move on to how I'm actually a pretty good guy.
We've come full circle in that argument now, no longer recommend that, many of us who practice medicine, because we realized that it wasn't working for our patients. So it is remarkably complex, as you know, to figure out what works for most people even in a dietary program. Even in the practice of medicine, we evolve by looking at new ideas, challenging orthodoxy, and evolving them. So when I hold, these are the 5 papers, these are clinical papers, and we can argue.
Clinical papers. I'd love to see which of those clinical papers it actually was. I tried looking around for it, and I could not find them. If somebody else finds it, I don't know if I'm gonna tackle this topic again. I mostly just want to bring about why Dr. Oz is such a piece of shit. But I would be more than willing to take a look at him just for my own sake. I'd love to know
about the quality of them, very justifiably. I can pick apart papers that showed no benefit as well. But at the end of the day, if I have clinical subjects, real people having undergone trials, and in this case, I actually gave it to members of my audience. It wasn't a formal trial. It was just an...
Which wouldn't pass. The trial you did with your audience, you would not say that would ever pass scientific muster.
No, I would never publish the paper. It wasn't...
But we did it. And we did it, and I loudly proclaimed it on a television with the word doctor in the title. But, I mean, it obviously wouldn't pass any scientific muster, but it's not like I'm trying to convince people with my wildly popular TV show and me talking as a doctor. Nah, of course not.
Done under the appropriate IRB guidance. That wasn't the purpose of it. The purpose was for me to get a thumbnail sketch. Was this worth talking to people about or not? But again, I don't think there ought to be a referendum on the use of alternative medical therapies, because if that's the case, listen, I've been criticized for having folks come on my show talking about the power of prayer. Now, again, as a practitioner, I can't prove that prayer helps people survive an illness. On the other hand,
it's hard to buy prayer.
It's hard to buy prayer. That's the difference.
Prayer's free.
Yes, prayer's free, and people. That's a very good point. Thankfully, prayer's free, and so
Ooh, I don't even know if he actually got that dig on him. I don't know if he caught that, or if he's smart enough that he just deflected to try and roll with the joke. That was definitely a dig. One of the main things that's a problem with this is the same thing that I've been talking about quite a bit over and over on my videos, is the deregulated nature of supplements and how these things don't have to pass the scrutiny of the FDA. Whether you like the FDA or not, I have my own problems with the FDA as well, but I see them as necessary. I've actually gotten into fights with some of my friends about that, who absolutely don't believe in the FDA at all, but at the same time, you can see what happens when something is not handled by the FDA, which is predatory practices pushed forward by people trying to sell you these miracle cures, and suddenly you have these people who are desperate, or they're dying in some of the worst cases, or they're trying to take care of a small child, and they're misusing or misunderstanding what they're actually supposed to be doing. And because there's no regulatory committee towards this, some people actually get very, very fucking hurt. Very hurt. I don't even know how many times I could tell you there's been instances of people who get sold on these ideas of these supplements, and they believe that these supplements are totally fucking safe because there are no safety recommendations for it, because they're not tested for fucking safety. Tested for fucking safety. And they take too much of it, and they fuck themselves up. Permanent fucking liver damage, permanent fucking kidney damage. You can have severe fucking reactions from overdosing on supplements. It is possible to do so. You can fuck yourself up by taking too much vitamin C. You can fuck yourself up by drinking too much fucking water, for fuck's sake. Too much of anything is a bad thing. And when you have something that is grossly deregulated and pushed by somebody who should be trustworthy because they're actually a fucking doctor, then you go into dangerous fucking territory. And vulnerable and gullible people will always be the ones who will pay the fucking price. And even more so, the people that they themselves give these things to, who don't have a choice. People like children, or terminally ill, or mentally infirmed. And it's fucked. It's super fucked. And this shit happens all the goddamn time. So that's one of the reasons why I fucking hate this shit. It drives me crazy. Anyway, that was, there's more on his hearing in front of the Senate, but largely it's inconsequential to what we're talking about. What we're talking about is that President Trump decided for his Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, he wanted to put Dr. Oz in that place. In fact, I think it's already confirmed. If I'm not mistaken, he's already appointed to it, and that's just how it is. It's part of the power of the president. He can put whoever he wants in those positions. And this is actually a problem. And I don't know if many people are aware of why this is such a big problem, but I will explain it now. This is why I'm fucking mad. This is why I'm pissed off. This is why I'm even bothering to make a video on this to begin with, because otherwise I could just ignore it, which I usually do, just ignore Dr. Oz, because in the larger context of things, he does a lot less harm than most people do, even though he has the numbers and the audience and the attention. But this is why I have a big fucking problem with him. There's something that happens when Dr. Oz goes and he promotes a supplement. And they have a name for it. They call it the Dr. Oz effect. The Dr. Oz effect is if he goes out there and he's trying to fill up some fucking space, and he's like, by the way, have you noticed that you have high blood pressure? Well, some scientists have found this breakthrough magic cure in which you can possibly regulate your your blood pressure without having to take invasive, awful pharmaceutical medicines. This one supplement may be the thing that is your end-all, be-all cure for your problems with your blood pressure. And then he states a name. And then write this down. States a name, and people go and they look at it. And the Dr. Oz effect is that company's profit margin will explode. Explode all over the fucking place. They will sell so fucking many of them because Dr. Oz just said it to, millions of people all around the world. That's the Dr. Oz effect. The Dr. Oz effect is a true phenomenon that ends up inflating the fucking the pharmaceutical industry, or not pharmaceutical, the supplement industry, these specific corporations, with shit tons of fucking money, because people then go and buy it. It's a marketing scheme. Now, so far as we can tell, because it's not something that I believe has ever been leaked or anything, is whether or not he is being sponsored or promoted by this, because there is no trail for it. He said that he doesn't get paid for these promotions at all. He himself does not sell any supplements, as far as we can tell. If it is, it's somehow through a series of different companies or whatever. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but so far as can be understood, there is no monetary gain for Dr. Oz to say these things. However, you would be naive to think that he gets nothing out of it. It's very, very apparent and pretty easy to see, if you understand how these types of things work, especially because he's a Hollywood doctor, that having people that thankful, people in huge positions of financial power. The supplement industry is a massive lobby in Washington, D.C. They wield a huge amount of fucking political power, and I mean a huge amount of goddamn political power. Effectively giving these companies that also wield political power a shit ton of money just by simply saying that their product is a good product to do. He then builds a base, not necessarily of money, but a huge base of power. Political clout. and it's again, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just an understood effect of cause and effect of this is how it's going to have cause and effect. Ooh, cause and effect. So because of that, the Dr. Oz effect is a way in which Dr. Oz's television presence enables him to wield a huge amount of financial power for other people. Now, here's where it gets a little fucked up, and this is why I'm really upset about him getting appointed by Trump. It's one thing that Dr. Oz has the ability to go out on his own television show with the fucking honorary, not honorary, but the earned title of Dr. Oz in the fucking title, Doctor. So what he says has the weight of a doctor behind it. But now that he is part of a fucking council appointed by the president, that doesn't mean that with this supplement that he talks about necessarily just has doctor approval. It could even be waged that it now has in some form a type of government approval, because this is a government hired person in charge of a council on nutrition. So he now is trusted by the government, by the president himself, and he's a doctor, and he's telling you these magical miracle cures to burn your fat or cure your psoriasis or whatever the fuck it is. This is a problem. This is a huge fucking problem. I've spoken before that I have a problem with the government getting in bed with the fucking media. I have a problem with the government getting in bed with the health industry. I have a problem with these things because it's none of their fucking business aside from maintaining regulatory committees. This is fucking crazy. You have a cyclic effect of a guy who has a TV show and he can make a lot of money for these companies that wield a lot of political power through lobbying, but also now he also has the backing of effectively the government. I mean, am I taking fucking crazy pills here, or is this a huge conflict of interest in so many fucking ways? It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. Even more so. Even more so. We're gonna pretty much end with this. No, we don't want that. We want this. Yes. Beep. This, if nothing else, this is a huge issue right here. This is written back in 2015. Experts want Dr. Oz fired from teaching post. A group of physicians has a prescription for Dr. Oz. Get out of the classroom stat. 10 doctors last week sent a letter to the dean of the medical school at Columbia University, where Harvard-educated surgeon Mehmet Oz, better known as Dr. Oz, serves on the faculty, which is true. He is a vice chair at Columbia University. He is. These colleagues, the people who actually work with him, or are supposed to if he's ever at Columbia University, say Dr. Oz, whose path to TV stardom was blazed through frequent guest spots on Oprah Winfrey's show, has no business teaching medicine. He has manifested an egregious lack of integrity by promoting quack treatments and cures in the interest of personal financial gain, the letter states. The doctors called his employment at Columbia unacceptable. The critics slammed Dr. Oz for outrageous conflicts of interest and flawed judgments, and suggest his shortcomings are because of his own pathology, without specifying what that pathology might be. Now, he did respond back, and he did it on his TV show, and he yelled about it, and well, he didn't yell about it, but he basically upheld academic freedom is the reason why he should be able to keep his position. But this is the problem. This is the fucking problem. Massive conflicts of interest. The possibility that now his word is not only backed up by his medical degree, but also by his position as effectively a government employee. I am disgusted by it when even his own fellow coworkers, his own fellow experts in biomedical technology and medicine themselves say he's a quack. He should not be in a position of authority when it comes to medicine, especially at his place at Columbia University. Why in the fuck is this guy being appointed to a council to tell us how we should be nutritious? It's gross. It's super gross. Anyway, all that being said, this is pretty much what I wanted to get out there. I think I actually had a Streamlabs. Forgot that I put that on there. Mr. Sivansky says, "Notice me, senpai. You are there. You are hereby noticed." But I appreciate your guys' attention. I want to make sure that I had this done so I could get back to working on Larry Cook and my impending knockout fight with Stop Mandatory Vaccination Facebook page, which I have a feeling is going to get pretty spicy. Anyway, thank you guys very, very much for your attention. I appreciate you. I'm going to grab something to play us out with. And other than that, I think I'm pretty much done. I'm just going to get back to work. If my computer ever wants to work. There we go. Sweet. Thank you. All right. I love you guys. I hope your family is well. I hope you are well. I will see you next time. And, yeah. Take care, everybody.